The first thing you usually look at on a car tire is sort of the basic shape and size of it. And that's this big line right here. P175/65R14 on this tire. P means it's for a passenger car. LT is light truck. T is temporary. And ST is for a trailer. Now 175 is the width of the tire. That's when it's mounted and inflated, measured sidewall to sidewall in millimeters. Divide by 25.4 to get inches if you care.
The higher the number here, the wider the tire's contact patch on the road, which should give you more lateral grip for cornering and look great. But wider tires may reduce your MPG a bit by their greater frontal area, which can create more wind resistance, or by weighing more as well.
Now, 65 is your aspect ratio after the slash. That's the ratio of height to width. This tire is 65% high as it is wide. The lower that number is, the more you've got one of those cool-looking, low, wide tires. Those are also great for sidewall stiffness and, let's face it, great aesthetics these days. But you tend to get a harsher ride, and very low-profile tires like 45s are very unforgiving of potholes. R means radial. Just about every car tire is a radial these days, unless you've got a really old classic car and you put bias plies on it, but that's really rare. 14 is the diameter of wheel it mounts on. That's the size of this hole right here. Now let's move over here. You'll find this sort of service rating, 81S. 81 is a load rating. There's no real easy way to memorize it. You can go look it up anywhere on the web. The S is your speed rating. The speed at which the tire is designed to run consistently without flying apart. S is only 112 miles per hour sustained. They go way up from there to speeds that only supercars can do. Now, remember that whole Firestone Ford debacle with tires blowing out and SUVs rolling over? Ever since then, the DOT, Department of Transportation, has been pretty cagey about making sure tires are tracked and recallable. Hence this number, DOT, and then a bunch of gobbledygook after that. This is your DOT batch and lot number. You're going to want to use that later. And the last set of numbers here, these four that come after it, like on this car it's 3410, that's your manufacturing date, your freshness date. This tire was made the 34th week of 2010. The older tires, before July or so of 2000, only had a 3-digit code. In that case, it doesn't matter what the code is, because they're too old and you should probably replace them. Average shelf life on a tire is generally thought to be 6 to 10 years, no matter how much you drive, because sun, UV, and ozone cause the rubber to disintegrate just by sitting. Now, some of the old school data is spelled out the most clearly. Tread wear, traction, and temperature in grades. The tread wear is actually an index number based on a 100 as an average tire. Traction is either AA down to C. This one's an A, so it's pretty good. And temperature is A, B, or C. Again, this is a mid-range tire. It gets a B. Tread wear is not something you really are going to figure out from that number, though. You're going to want to know what this thing is warranted for when you buy it. That's where the rubber hits the road, if you will. And in terms of tread wear, there are a couple of ways to measure that. There are wear bars. You see these right there? When those are flush with the top of the tread, your tire's done. You're too low. The old Lincoln penny thing still works also. If you can see all of Abe's hair, your tire's worn out. Now, here are a couple of good ones I get a lot of questions on. The colored dots on tires. Here's this yellow one here. When the manufacturer made this tire, they spun it and measured it, and this is actually the light spot. No tire is perfect. It's a little lighter here than anywhere else around the circumference. This can be useful when it's being mounted to a wheel in a way that will cancel that out. This dot here, it's blue on this tire, sometimes it's red, that's the high spot. No tire is perfectly round. This is where it's a little bit higher around the circumference than anywhere else on the tire. That can also be mounted to the wheel at its low spot and cancel out the irregularities. Good to know if you want to get your tires mounted really well. Tell the tire guys, they know about this. And by the way, these colored dots and mating them on the wheel properly is especially important on low profile tires because, as I mentioned, they're pretty unforgiving in terms of imperfections. That's when you really want to get these lined up ideally. Now, the thing you'll deal with the most on a tire, or you should, kind of like flossing, is checking your tire pressure. It's like backing up a hard drive. We don't do that either, but you should. Ignore this number. Maximum pressure, 44 psi. That's not the pressure to inflate the tire to. That is set by the manufacturer. You'll find that sticker on your car.